Hey guys, what's up? Nick here once again, and today we are doing another tier list on the levels of Twisted Metal 4. So let's get right into it. As you can see, we have a lot of levels to go through here, and the reason this looks a little bit different, normally I have screenshots from inside the game itself, but this just figured to be a way easier way to do it. So it has the title of the level and of course a little picture next to it as well. And if you want to make your own tier list, I will have a link to mine in the description below. Definitely go do so. Take a screenshot when you're done and post it in the community Discord. With that being said, because we have so many levels to go through, I'm going to kind of rapid fire through the quote-unquote secret levels, which if you guys don't know what those are, they are these kind of bluish and red ones. Essentially, you unlock them if you beat the entire tournament and you save once you've completed it. You not only unlock all of the super characters or boss characters to choose from, now that you can play through them, but you also unlock all of these extra deathmatch levels. And they are only accessible in deathmatch mode, but I figured it was right to put them on the list anyway, even though most of them are pretty much the same, at least to me. There are a couple standouts, but for the most part, they're all pretty meh. But again, we're going to kind of rapid fire through those ones, and we'll go obviously more in depth with the regular tournament maps. But with that out of the way, let's start out from left to right here with Construction Yard. So the Construction Yard is the first level in the tournament. It's probably the one most people think of when they think of Twisted Metal 4. And I gotta say, it's a pretty solid map. It reminds me a lot of the Junkyard from Twisted Metal Black, even though obviously that one came out after this game. But it's kind of the same feelings for me, where it has some iconic moments with it. I love the giant crane in the middle of the map that you can pick up people with. I like that it's a pretty wide open map, but it doesn't feel super large to where you're not running into enemies. It really does make you feel like you're in a pretty much a perfect size Twisted Metal level. You got a lot of different areas too that are secret that you can find by breaking down some walls that normally you wouldn't need to. And all around it has everything that I think that makes a perfect Twisted Metal level. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that's a negative for this map other than just maybe the color palette is a little bit on the blander side. But all in all, for me, Construction Yard is an S tier map. Next on is Neon City. This is a very unique and cool looking level. The only issues I have with it is I do feel it is a little bit too large. And I'm probably going to say that for a lot of these levels in Twisted Metal 4, sadly. But it is definitely something you need to say when you're talking about the levels and the maps of Twisted Metal 4. It's just, they had a lot of great ambitions with this game, and I think they had a lot of cool ideas, and the creativity really flowed with this team, but sometimes to its detriment. And I think with Neon City, they had some really neat ideas. I loved the extra, like, train in the middle of the map that actually can hit you and do damage. I like that you can get up on top of the train yard, and you can go to this whole separate section where you can blow down a wall, get picked up by a vehicle, brought to another platform, and unlock a lightning attack that does a ton of damage. And not only that, but you also have the whole bottom level area kind of in the city streets going through all the buildings, which is really cool. So Neon City has a lot to like. It's a really cool looking map. It's got a really nice color palette to it. I like that it takes place at night, but I do have to take some points down because of how large it is. There is some sections where there's really no reason to ever go to, and the AI doesn't seem to want to go there either, so you can kind of get away from everybody and not find an enemy to fight for quite a while, especially if it's just you and Moonbuggy, the boss of the map. So Neon City could have been easily an S tier for me, but I'm gonna have to bump it down to an A tier just because it is too big and there's some sections I feel they could have trimmed the fat a bit. Next up is Road Rage. This is a map that I think notoriously gets shit on by a lot of people, and I understand to a degree why they hate this map, but for me personally, I've never really had much hate towards it. I like the look of it. I like the idea of a Twisted Metal contest taking place on a giant freeway system with interlocking roads that make the map feel a lot larger than it really is. However, I gotta say, Road Rage is a massive level. It's not just an optical illusion. It actually is a really big level, and it is to its detriment. There's a lot of areas where AI just doesn't seem to ever want to go, so you can get away from everybody and pretty much not find anybody for minutes at a time, which is a problem when it comes to Twisted Metal. So it is a very large map. It has a lot of winding roads that just didn't need to be there. Easily could have trimmed the fat. And there is some sections where it's a little bit too close quarters, where like it's kind of hard to get away from people. Now, with the physics engine and the health system and the balancing of Twisted Metal 4, I've never really had an issue with this, but I like to consider if this level was in like Twisted Metal 2, for instance, this would be by far my most hated level because of how tight quarters some of it is, and there's no real areas you can go to like look for cover. And that was one of my biggest issues I had with the freeway level in Twisted Metal 1 for that very specific reason. But with all that being said, Road Rage, I still think it gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I think it is still fun for what it is. I like Super Thumper as well. That might be a little bit of a bias why I like this map, but I will admit that Road Rage is no higher than a B tier level. It's definitely middle of the road for me. It's got its moments, but it definitely has its faults. Next up is the bedroom. This is a map that I feel gets a lot of unnecessary hate in a lot of ways. I don't understand why it does. I really don't. It might just be the aesthetics. People think it's too cheesy. It doesn't make sense, and I get that because you're little tiny cars in a giant bedroom. But putting that aside, there's a lot of stuff in this game that goes against reality to the point where you kind of have to take your mind out of that realm and that this is a fantasy world. And I do think that Twisted Metal Small Brawl got a lot of influence probably from this level itself. And that right there is a reason to love this map. But that being said, I like the fact that there's like Hot Wheels tracks. So you can drive up onto the dresser and then onto the bed. And there's a whole like skyline area to kind of look down onto the map and fight people from a vertical angle. You also have these secret doors you can unlock on the floor level that go through the back wall, essentially like where rats would go into the rafters of the room. And it's a super cool aesthetic. It's a relatively large map, just like all the other ones, but this one doesn't feel like it's massive. You never really get too far away from the action here, and I think that's a really good thing about it. And I think that's because it's more of an open level than a lot of these other ones tend to be. So with the aesthetics of it being really cool, I like that you can see yourself on the CRT TV, which is really cool as well. The race car tracks from Hot Wheels. It's just, everything about this map is amazing. The only downside is the boss. I absolutely hate the boss in this level, but I'm not going to deter anything because of that. I will easily place the bedroom at S tier. Next up is Amazonia 3000 BC. This is a level where I've been notorious on kind of trashing throughout my playthroughs of Twisted Metal 4, and I will shut my mouth for this one for a little bit. I think there is some good things about this level. I think there's a lot of cool design choices. I like the color palette of this level, even though it is kind of more on the brownish darks and grays I'm not a huge fan of, but everything else about it I think is really nice. The only and major issue for this level for me personally is it's just too big. I truly believe this level could have been cut in half and it would have been twice as good. There's just too many areas where AI just does not want to go. There's too many tunnels and places that you can get kind of not stuck in, but it's just like you drive through them and it feels like an hour going through there to the next area of the level, and you're just like, wow, this is all one level still. It's just kind of wild. But again, the aesthetics look really nice. I like the look of the level. It's way too massive for what it is, and there's too many lull moments in the action where you just feel like you haven't seen anybody for 5-10 minutes at a time, and that's just, again, that's a huge detriment to it, especially on the level you go against Super Axel, which is probably my favorite design enemy slash boss in this entire game. So I gotta give it a little bit of leg up for Axel, but yeah, Amazonia 3000, I was gonna give it a C rating, to be honest with you, but guys, I'll bump it up to a B because I do see why people like this level. I do like the aesthetics of it, and it does have some cool hidden areas and neat features, but yeah, it's just way too damn big. Up next is Oil Rig. This one is kind of a unique one. So this one I could easily give it the same exact issues I have with Amazonia and say it's way too large of a level. It's got some cool aesthetics, but that's it. I could easily write it off as that. But I can't put my finger on it. There's just something about this level that really makes it fun to come back to, even though it is a massive map. And you could easily lose people on this one. And I think that's the main reason you go against two bosses at once, which makes the most sense. But it's just, the verticality of this one is amazing. There's so many secret areas you can find, and you can jump down on people from high above. It's a really amazing aesthetic map. I also love that they chose to not have water below you, like when you're looking over the edge, or there's even areas you can fall off the map. When you look down, it's just white void. There's no actual water below you, which it should be. I love the fact that it's a white void because it makes you feel like you're super high up in the sky, which makes it really eerie, and I have a huge fear of heights, so it just kind of adds that anxiety when you're on the map. And all around, there's just so many cool things with this one. I love the look of it. I love the aesthetics. It is larger than it should be. I will say that. I will agree with you on that. There are some areas for sure they could have trimmed the fat. But I gotta say, the Oil Rig for me is an S tier level. Next up is Minions Maze. This is a level that really pains me because in a lot of ways, it should be the best map in the game. A maze is a cool idea for a Twisted Metal level, I will say that. But the biggest issue we run into is not only is this level ginormous, it's just way too large, but being that it's a maze, they made the corridors and the places where you can get stuck in the actual maze itself way too linear, to where when you're fighting in them, it's just a lot of handbraking and 180ing over and over and over again, and it's boring. It's more of a detriment to the gameplay. It doesn't add anything to it. The only benefit of this level is you can get on top of the maze. You can actually jump from section to section, but then it becomes a platformer at that point. It doesn't feel like Twisted Metal. It's just too much jumping going on. And yeah, it's just a very weird level. It sticks out like a sore thumb. And the worst part about it, it's Minion, but it's the weakest, in my opinion, worst Minion in the entire series. So it just adds on to the shit fest that is this level. So I know this is going to probably pain a couple people, but this is going to be a trash tier for me. The last level in the main tournament is the Carnival. I do have a special place in my heart for this map. I think there's a lot of cool things they did with it. I like the haunted house section with the ghosts and the haunting music and noises. I love the roller coaster, the fact that you can drive on it and get hit by a roller coaster doing damage not only to yourself, but you can kind of lure enemies into it and they can die from it, which is hilarious. There's a lot of cool things to this level that I have to give them praise for. But I will say, the main section of it, the main open area, where you got the circle pit in the middle, you got the main carnival tent, and then this random little building to the right, it's very bland. There's not much going on. There's not a whole lot to do in it, other than just a couple jumps in the middle. They could have, I think, done more with it. Maybe it was limitations of the time frame. You know, this game was very much rushed out of the gate. We all know that. It could have been a lot of reasons that, you know, come down to that. The other thing is, too, I think this map, I don't think it's too large. I think that actually this is like the perfect size for a level in Twisted Metal 4. But because of that middle area being so bland, they could have made it a little bit smaller, so you're a little bit more confined into like an actual arena type feel. Maybe even have it to where the tent is the level, like you're all stuck in the tent. But then there's a secret path to get out of the tent into the haunted house. That would have been a really cool idea. But like I said, the level has its cool little aesthetics and it's got its cool features, but it obviously has issues and its quirks. And you go against the worst boss ever created in the history of Twisted Metal. Sweet Tooth is just stupidly overpowered, really annoying to go against, and the only way to have fun with it is to exploit the game to kill him faster, which is just dumb. So the Carnival, for me, it's sad to say, but it is a B tier map. I was going to lower it down to a C tier, but I'm going to rank it up a little higher just because of the aesthetics of the Carnival. You get the actual roller coaster, and then of course you have the haunted house, which does bump it up in my opinion. And now moving on to the bonus maps, the deathmatch levels that you unlock. And like I said at the beginning of this video, we're going to kind of rapid fire through these. I'm not going to go over each one individually just because they really do blend together. And I mean, one of them, this fucking one, this is literally just a plane. There's nothing to it. It's less, believe it or not, it's less creativity. It's less of a level than watching DC and TM3. So that's really saying something. So Where to Hide is trashed here. It's literally just a plane. There's nothing going on here. The pits, this one is, I don't know if it's trashed here, but it's literally just a worse version of Tic-Tac-Toe, so it's trashed here for me. The Cathedral, I think, or the Citadel, I can't read it from here. The Citadel is a flat plane, which is some little tiny platforms that you can get on top of and fight people, so at least it has a little bit of an aesthetic to it. So I'll bump it up to a C tier. Not terrible, but it's pretty bad. Octagon, this one's pretty dumb. It's literally just an open map with some yellow platforms that if you bump into them, they send you flying, and there's really not much to it at all, so that's a trash tier for me. King of the Hill, this one's kind of cool. I mean, it's a pyramid, literally just on a flat plane, but with the verticality of this one, you can get some cool kills and do some interesting maneuvers. So King of the Hill, I'm going to give it a C tier because it's not absolutely terrible, but yeah, it's pretty bad still, pretty lame. Tic-Tac-Toast, this one is probably the worst one in the entire game. However, it has a special place in my heart because it's just hilarious. The entire level can be broken apart and disappear and you fall to your death. The only way to survive on this level, and it literally says in the loading screen, is to do up, up, down, down, which is hyperspace. That sends you, just teleports you to a different spot in the level. And it's just stupid fun. That's all it really is. So yeah, Tic-Tac-Toast, I'm gonna have to actually give it a B tier just because of how stupid it is, but it somehow works. The Islands, this one, it's a better map, I guess, with these bonus maps. It's just 4 little different random flat sections, just like nowhere to hide. but you have these jump pads that bring you to each island, so you can kind of get away from people and shoot them while they're flying through the air. So it's not trash tier, but it's definitely not higher than a C tier. And then the last one, the only thing that's redeeming about this one for me is the name, Son of a Ditch. I mean, obviously it's a play on Son of a Bitch, kind of funny. But yeah, it's just a regular, it's kind of like an inverse of the King of the Hill map, where you go down into the section that can break away and you can fall to your death. If you touch the yellow rim around the top area, it'll send you flying into the middle. So yeah, it's not trash tier, but I think it is definitely a C tier. And that's kind of how I feel about these bonus maps. Like, I'm glad they're there. They add some extra value to the game for sure, but they're all so bland and boring in their own ways that only one of them really sticks out as like, this is so silly, it's kind of fun, and that's Tic-Tac-Toast. But with that being said, this is my full tier list of the levels in TM4. I did not expect it to be this linear. I expected it to be more S tier and then everything else kind of lower end. But I guess since I added the, the bonus maps from Deathmatch, that kind of makes sense why there's a lot in the trash and C tier now. So that being said, you guys all know the drill here at this point. My opinion, my tier list does not matter. If you don't agree with me, that is totally fine. Let me know what you think your tier list is for the levels of Twisted Metal 4 in the comment section below, or check the link I have in the description. Make your own tier list, take a screenshot, and post it in the community Discord. I love seeing your guys' tier list as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, share, support as always. Subscribe so don't miss the next one. We'll hopefully see you in the next one. Peace out. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. Before we head out, I want to give a huge special thank you to our channel members. These are amazing people who are wanting to support the channel and the content here. And if you want to do the same, you can click the little join button underneath every single new upload. And in becoming a channel member, not only supports me and the channel, but also gives you a ton of perks in doing so, including early access to new content and being a part of exclusive polls and information that other people would not be able to access. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you again so much for the love and support, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one. Peace out.